Alright guys, so today we are speaking on the topic of basically just how to get work done. How to go from feeling a little bit lethargic, a little bit tired, you might have been at work all day, it might be your day off, and you're wanting to put some time, effort into your side hustle, into creating your business, and it can be tough, it can be a little bit rough. Your energy's low, you've been concentrating and focusing all day, you've been socializing all day, you might have been socializing and working all week, and now we are trying to conjure up some more energy to be able to put into the thing that's hopefully going to be able to bring us outside of working for the man for the rest of his lives. So these are ideas, invitations, practices, insights which I've pulled from a lot of different areas, and I think they just make sense. It's just some stuff which I do believe that it's one of those, like, it kind of fits everybody in all situations. So I think the very first important thing to realize is doing any amount of work is always good. Doing one sales call or filming one 30-second video, sending an email, making one inquiry, just doing one thing, it takes you from that blank canvas and that lack of momentum, lack of work. It takes you from 0 to 1, and I think that in and of itself, even if you can only manage that one thing for the day or for the week, you have at least done something, and I think that can do a lot for momentum. It can do a lot for the way that you view yourself. It can be a thing of like, well, I've done one thing for 5 days, so at the end of the week I've actually done 5 things, and getting to the end of the week and doing 5 things compared to 0, it's a lot, So I think that's the very first thing that I want to sort of bring up, is understanding the value of just doing something seemingly small and how that can stack up over time. There's a really nice saying that I love to use whenever I can, and it's, even a dripping tap will eventually fill up a bathtub, So it's about remembering that something is actually adding in a load of work. I think following on from that is realizing that a lot of the time, the difficult thing is to get in the environment. It is to get in the flow of doing work. It's actually going from 0 to 1. So if you can figure out how to do that, and there's a couple of different things that I'm going to go through in terms of what you can do to make that easier, I do believe that you're a lot more likely to then actually carry on. It's like, well, I'm sat down, I'm at my desk, I've opened up my laptop, or I've opened up my emails, and I've got into a procedure, I'm into a system, I'm in a flow of work. So now I've done 1, well, I could spend an extra couple of minutes and do 2. And then actually, oh, do you know what? I've actually had another idea, so I can do 3. And then you never know how that can start to add up to slowly just increase the amount of work that you've done when you actually only sat down to do one piece of work. And the thing that I really like about that is it's sort of like playing a little trick on yourself. It's like saying, I'm actually only going to have to accept that I'm going to do this small piece of work, and I can do that. I feel confident in doing that. I don't need this huge, massive energy to go and do that stuff. And then you sit down and you get into the flow, and then you end up doing a little bit more. So it's sort of like you've tricked yourself into getting more work done than you originally agreed to, but you've not forced yourself. And I think that the reason why that works is because sometimes you can look at a big say it's reading a book. Reading a book's a really good example. If you were to sit down and say, I'm going to read this entire book in one sitting, you'd overwhelm yourself. It's too much. Whereas if you sit down and you say, I'm just going to read 1 page, and then you get into it and you actually end up reading 5, well, reading 5 pages is way better than reading 0. And I think the secret comes because you've said that you're only going to do 1. You know what I mean? It's a little trick for yourself, but it's a really good one. The next one is your working environment. Now, the reason why I am doing this in the spare bedroom and not downstairs in the living room or in the bedroom is because When I come in here and the door's closed, I've got my environment. It's in my control, so it doesn't matter if there's people going around outside, if the Hoover's on, if the fucking cat's trying to say hello to me, or I get some letters coming through the letterbox. I'm in this area, and this is my work area, and the more time I spend in here, the more it becomes a place of, I've associated it with being efficient and being productive. I'm in my focused place, and I think that, again, having this place to come into, it sort of pulls me in. So it might just be something to consider if you are struggling to get into like a frame of mind of being productive. Maybe one of the things that you can reevaluate is where you're actually trying to do that work. Are there lots of distractions? Is do you have your phone on loud? So every time you try and do something, you get bing, and then your attention's brought elsewhere. And then just remembering that there's a couple of different things that add up to being productive. So it's like not overwhelming yourself, having somewhere to actually do it, enjoying the work actually in the first place, which is another video that I've got in terms of like how to know if you're on the right path, and how to figure out if you are enjoying the work. Because at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy what you're trying to do, you're trying to fight that battle twice. I think also it's really important to understand that energy is a big thing, and as I always talk about stuff like this because it's super important for me, is understanding when to do the work. So for some people, again, it's very contextually it's gonna apply differently to people in different contexts, because I'm just gonna close the window because I don't know if that dog can be picked up through the microphone. Is because if you've got, like, say you've got a really long day at work and you get home and you are absolutely exhausted, the idea of then doing more work might just really floor you. It might be too much to deal with, and it then starts to build up to be this negative association that you've got. It's like, if you're trying to do extra work on top of the work that you've already done and you're really exhausted, it might not be that aligned with what you're trying to do. So, for example, I really like to get my filming work done. I don't know why I did that, because it is filming. I like to get my filming work done on days where I'm not at work, because it takes quite a lot of energy to sort of plan the videos, put the notes in a structure where I can read them pretty easily while I'm filming, and then actually take those notes, start and record, and then intellectually be able to pan out those ideas and go through the process of recording a video while explaining stuff. And it's quite an energy using process. So I don't like to do this after work, because when I've done work, my brain's pretty tired. And I don't like doing it before work, because I don't want to be conscious of the amount of time that I spend on a video. I like to do the research, do the planning, and then do the video all in one block, because I kind of feel like it flows really nicely. So using that as an example, it might be that what I actually do personally is I make notes through the week as I get little ideas, or I realise that I'm doing something which might be applicable to this idea that I've already had. So I've got loads of notes, and again, this is something that I've talked about on a previous video in terms of like having different places to put your ideas so you're not sort of limited. But that for me is something which is really easy for my lifestyle, so that I can end up placing these seemingly small pieces of work through the week, get quite a big block done on my day off or my 2 days off. And then as you look at a week overall, I've actually done quite a lot of work, but I've just been quite like tactical and smart through being able to see how I work best, what my lifestyle is like, how much work I can get done in a day, also like what time I start work, and just being able to piece things in where they fit well. So again, it's becoming aligned with where you're trying to move towards, rather than constantly trying to battle yourself and like overwork yourself to the point where you just kind of want to throw your toys out the pram and you don't want to do anything, because that's what burnout is, in my opinion. You try to do too much in a short space of time, so you end up burning out, and then you need to take a longer break. Whereas if you can just do a little bit each day, or a little bit every other day, and just figure out how it works best for you. And really the only way that you're going to do that is through trial and error. Find out some insights, get some ideas from like me or other people. Books, podcasts are fantastic. And then when something feels like it could be a good fit for you, try it out. And then it's basically just being patient, doing the work, and then reflecting on it if it's worked well or not, and then make judgment calls based on that. So I think that's another good point, actually, is taking, and this is something that I've recently just started doing, and it's very good for allowing me to feel like I've got a plan for the week, and that is coming up with a plan for the week, because I've always been somebody who's put my work calendar in my actual diary on my phone, or my calendar on my phone. So that as and when I'm arranging to do stuff, whether it's social, whether I'm planning time at work in terms of like my sort of outside of my job work, the content stuff, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's going to the sauna, whether it's like I said, like seeing friends and family, it all goes into one calendar, so that I know at any moment I'm not going to double book anything. I can see as an overall how busy my week is. I can also see which days would be more appropriate to put this block of work, or actually I finish work a little bit earlier that day, so let's go and socialise after work on that day, and then use the next hour. And it's just being able to see your week at a glance, or see your month at a glance. It makes being busy much more achievable, because you don't end up, like I said, double booking yourself and getting overwhelmed and getting stressed. And also, like, it gives you the opportunity to look back and think, well, actually, do you know what? I was really, really productive last week. How did I set things up? Oh, actually, do you know what? I did my filming on this day, or I sent my emails on that day, and I had a little bit of spare time here, but because I've been really busy for 3 days, rather than trying to shove a little bit more work in, I actually took some time out and I went for a walk and I relaxed, or I saw some friends. And I think it's a double-edged sword in a really nice way, because it allows you to feel like you're in control and you've got agency over your time moving forward. You know exactly where you're at, and then also if the week's gone good or not, you can look backwards and actually sort of reflect and make changes. And it literally takes 5 to 10 minutes a week, And I think by doing that as well, it gives you an opportunity to actually practically turn ideas, and when you're wanting to get work done, it's like this mystical, sort of like intangible thing, which I think is one of the more difficult things of actually starting a business. It's taking ideas and actually putting them into practice. So by making time to put this work into your schedule, it then gives you the opportunity to sit down and do it. And then it's just, the magic sauce of actually fucking having the discipline to sit down and do it. Like, the reason why I'm filming this video right now is because I've had a busy week. I've been at work all week. I spent Friday night chilling with my mates. I spent Saturday morning playing basketball with another friend. I spent Saturday afternoon going fishing with another friend. Saturday night I spent with my partner. Sunday we pretty much spent the day together, because we haven't seen each other that much because we've been at work all week, and we've got as friendships that we've got separate to our partnership. And then this morning's Monday, so I went to the gym this morning, and then I was absolutely wiped out. I was totally floored. I was fucking staring at the fridge for about 10 minutes, just deciding what to eat. And then she said, shall I make you some food? And so had some food, sat and watched TV for half an hour, just kind of switched off. And then I came upstairs, went to the bathroom, and then I was like, oh, I've got some energy. I wanted to get some work done, so I've got free time. And I actually had it in my calendar to do some work this afternoon anyway, because I've got the rest of the day free. So it's about having that balance of putting things in your calendar and actually fucking doing it. But then also, if you are exhausted, take time out and recuperate. And it's a very fine balancing act, and there's not one shoe that fits all, and things are going to change depending on the million different things that can come into your work week, your social life, your love life, your family life. Just you might get a flat tire one day, and then all of a sudden, an hour and a half disappeared out your day. So you've got to be flexible with your approach, but kind of fixed on your outcome. And that's why I really like doing things in like weekly blocks, because it can get to the end of the week and you've got like a couple of hours free on Sunday or Monday or Saturday or whichever day you end up like taking off from your job, and you can literally just sit down for like 4 hours and get loads of work done. And sometimes you just do need to ignore being tired. There are times when you need to do that, but again, it's all contextual. Yeah, so I think, like, in conclusion, it's about taking the things that you want to get done and putting them in a calendar, putting them in a diary, and having that diary or calendar somewhere that you're actually going to check it. Having somewhere to do the work that allows you to, with as little effort as possible, get the most amount of work done. So you don't want to be having distractions, you don't want to be having to fight traffic to go somewhere extra on top of this, because it just makes it more difficult to get the stuff done, because it's kind of difficult to do it anyway, hence the reason why we all learn about how to be more efficient and productive, because it's not super easy if you weren't taught how to do it from being a kid. And then ultimately making sure that what you do you enjoy. And then, as I always have to sprinkle in is, stay hydrated, get good rest, exercise for the intensity which you feel like brings you energy, eat as much whole, clean foods as you can, and just generally try not to stress about the small things, And I think when you do all of those stuff, you've got an idea of the type of business that you want to move towards, or you're experimenting with it, and then you can actually start to turn blank pages into pages of work. You can you can turn ideas into practical pieces of work. And it's only by going through that sort of difficult process of figuring out how to actually get the work done that you actually get the work done. That unfortunately there's no magic pill that they've come up with yet where you can just have a business built for you. So yeah, hope that helps for today, and I'll see you soon.